Ayo Shala. Ayo Shala.
You ever fight for your life while you sitting in the court, putting niggas on the pavement, play the turf like it's a sport. Real eyes see the light in the midst of the darkest tribulations, affect the soul and make a young nigga heartless, set us war. Took an L to the devil, but I'm even in the score. Can't afford to keep my bed or keep no company with whores. Game time, I don't wanna see my name shine. You can readjust your views, don't try to change mine. I'm still here when my best friends became my enemies, and my brother in the faith became kin to me. We know that paradise and hell really a condition while we melt in the flame refined. We on the mission, high exalted. You know we've been trained for the war. We can't double back with us. Once you go and hit the door, pain. Lord knows we don't play here. If you don't got love for brothers, then niggas stay there.
Stay in my lane. Try to stand and figure it out, but can't ignore my pain. Help a nigga out, but understand that rain. A nigga out for real, but I can't get it. My feelings now, gotta stay in my lane. Try to stand and figure it out, but can't ignore my pain. Help a nigga out, but understand that rain. A nigga's proud for real, but I can't get it. My feelings now.
They gon' laugh at you while they strike and shake your hand. The Father gave us pain cause he knows it make a man. We got next, you heard me, I said we got next. We never boast in ourselves, but in the Father we flex. I said you could choose to die or you could choose to live. Stand tall, even if that means that you could lose a rib. We leave it all on the altar while we pray and face the east. Cause a man that hold the word and persevere, that's a priest, fuck the feet. If they can't hearken, then dust your feet. The earth will be given into the hand of the meek, to the evil beast. No, we won't never ever bow down. The workman rightly dividing, can't put the plow down. We suffer now, God willing we the elect. In a world where somehow good men fall under rejects. Don't take a lot of shit to heart cause we carry precepts. Don't take a lot of shit to heart cause we carry precepts.
Gotta stay in my lane. Try to stand and figure it out, but can't ignore my pain. Help a nigga out, but understand that rain. A nigga out for real, but I can't get it. My feelings now, gotta stay in my lane. Try to stand and figure it out, but can't ignore my pain. Help a nigga out, but understand that rain. A nigga's proud for real, but I can't get it. My feelings now.
Vinyl genius. Wish I had Keep Sweat in the background, cause I'ma sweat on this one. I discern you remember that night in McCullough Park. Spoke to you, Lord, show me your face, show me who you are. I can endure the pain, trust. Look at all these scars, even pops withering away. I pour all my heart. Moms can't deal with me cause I chose all the wrong instead of right. Just wanna vibe, so have you heard of me? You open my eyes and I need surgery. I make me sick cause I felt you all the way. Was never atheist. These pages exit Jesus, I had to exit Jesus. Black men in America, yeah, you best believe it. Sounded hella Greekish, so when I saw your burnt feet, I could imagine Peter's. Chanel braided this woolly hair with melanated fingers. Gotta escape the preachers, find the ancient teachers. Endow me, please, with wisdom, Lord, from the gated kingdom. The one and only YHWH, yes, you gave me freedom. I'm on my exegesis. Every page I flip, eyes got smoke, tear to a drip. Lord, I'm on, thug to a prince. What am I holding? Who found me here when I was broke? Every page I flip, eyes got smoke, tear to a drip. Lord, I'm on, thug to a prince. What am I holding? Who found me here when I was broke? Yeah, salvation in Matthew 24. Swing chariot, swing low. Spreading light through the world on a couple primos. On my exegesis, niggas, I ain't Negro. I'm your chosen, felt it back and I'm eating cheese flow. Turn the mic up, turn they hype up, let the people go. Cause know this gospel here reveals y'all evils. Threw off that rock and wear clear. No fooling me, oh, how about they know us? They hit us and choked us from the life we own once. So I spit like locusts, cause when you tied them ropes up and you had your hopes up, Yahweh looked down on us. Our power, that gold dust, your tower X'd in old dust. Like the ancient Egypt, can't you see your paraplegic heresies and fantasies? Izrio, that canopy. And the ironic thing, nigga, I still can't believe. Exegesis. Every page I flip, eyes got smoke. Dead to a dream. Lord, I'm on. Thug to a prince. What am I holding? Who found me here when I was broke?
Said I'm not coming in peace, I'm coming with a sword. And
God is gonna come with fire, man. That's what's coming to this place. Fire.
That's not happening about the various slave trades that establish everyone else's economy.
This devil knows he has but a short time, and he's shaking in his boots.
And this place has done evil that you can't imagine. And it is not just this place.
Because we in the midst of darkness, right? So if you eat consciously enough, you'll be aware of every single thing you put inside yourself.
All right. Can everybody hear me? Oh, okay, hear me. Okay. Could y'all hear me? Second to last day of the end of the week. How we feeling?
Light.
Sean?
Be right back. That's our religion.
Exhausted. One. All right.
Well, I feel good though. It's good to be here with brothers in the spirit. You know what I'm saying? Despite everything going on. It's bittersweet.
Okay. Today has been one of the most craziest days of my life, bro. Like, if it wasn't for the conversation I've had today. Remember, I had the conversation with y'all yesterday about how important it is to have that conversation with your brothers on the road, when you're working, and everything else. Boy, just to give y'all insight, FedEx has, at times, rarely, a customer has the ability to request a delivery later in the evening, i.e. 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. deliveries. They're called evening deliveries. I have one of those today. So I was done 2 hours before the evening delivery, and you have to stay on the road to deliver that package, and you have to get a signature. It's 20 degrees outside. And in that 20 degrees outside, the day itself, for the brothers who are also on the road, they're aware of what I'm talking about as far as us being in peak season. The volume kicks up. Everybody's trying to get their presents and all that other nonsense. everything today went wrong. From the size and weight of the packages to the customers trying to get crazy and rude. And I had to hold my composure because of, again, in any instance of uncomfortability, I still have to put myself in a higher position against what's in front of me. So what I decided to do, wait in that 2 hours, is jog with my FedEx clothes on to kill time. And because I'm in conversation with the brothers on the phone already, I'm already spiritually elevated. But time is moving by slow. So I've learned the concept of utilizing time being on my side when inconveniences come. Because I was unaware of the evening delivery until the package was actually on my truck. And your management lets you know ahead of time, yo, by the way, you got an evening delivery, blah, 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 blah. And I have the option to give it to somebody else if they're on the road still. How convenient. I have the most stops on my whole line, and I had to refill my truck and everything. Pretty much my time wasn't on my side, so I had to stay out till 5 o'clock. And in the midst of me parked up waiting, there's a cop circling the neighborhood. I'm on the phone with Kasaji at the time in Gabar. There's a cop circling the neighborhood, and he flashes his light in my truck. And you can hear me speak to my brother like, yo, is he about to do a donut to see what I'm doing? When I got out the truck, Kasaji's working, Gabar's working at the time, but we're all dying laughing on the phone. As I got out the truck, I asked the customer, how much did you pay for this delivery? She said, oh, my parents got it for me. I'm not really sure. It was a lot of money. I said, the paper said convenience on it. Is this convenient? She was like, I mean, not really. I said, interesting. And I walked away. Because who is it actually convenient for? I was done 2 hours ago. I'm supposed to see the sun down by the time I get out of work. Prior to that, there's a slow leak in my work tire. Prior to that, a customer claimed that they didn't receive a package, which means I have to go by the house and ask them what happened. After taking a picture of the package being by the door, which means somebody took it, I still have to go answer to that. Just an amazing life we live. Yeah, and still I'm here, happy that I can have this conversation with you guys tonight about 1 Corinthians chapter 3. All right. Not yet. But first, before we get into that, do you guys remember the plant I had? That the ponytail palm. I had to turn the Wi-Fi off because I can't risk the internet try to shut off while I expose Esau. So pardon the difficulty. The ponytail palm looked like a dreadhead, so to speak. Do y'all want to know what that plant looks like now? Let me show y'all. This plant I've had for a while now. And any plant growth, it's a reflection of how it's comfortable in your environment. no matter the conditions. And I want to express that this is one of the illustrations of the chapter that we're about to read into. But take a look at this plant. I want y'all to see the inside of it. Look what sprouted out of the trunk. On one side, you have that small size sprouting, and then you have the other side sprouting out. And then you have the top of it, the lighter part of it, sprouting up even higher, which means I have to repot the plant because it's growing out of the pot. This pot, or this plant, is a reflection of the environment that it stood in, which is a reflection of my life and my little brother's life. Does this look comfortable? Look at it. Does this look comfortable? Despite its growth, does this look comfortable? You said yeah? Does this look comfortable?
It needs a bigger, like it needs more room to breathe, but the plant itself looks good, like it's thriving.
Chat, does the plant look no, right? Outgrew its environment. Mine almost looks like good. Okay. This wasn't comfortable growth. This is the bottom of the trunk. The fact that it's sprouting from the bottom of the trunk is showing you guys a form of resolvement. And despite its environment, it still had its ability to grow.
I bet if you take that out, you'll see the bottom of it.
If I take it out right now,
hundreds of roots.
Watch this.
I'll take it out.
Matter of fact, I'm not going to do it. But if I'm going to repot this when my pots come in. But this itself, when I repot it, the roots itself is pretty much the whole soil, because I've repotted this plant before. But this is a reflection of what we're about to go into tonight, and me and you, and every last one of you who's watching this right now. This is a reflection of all of us. This isn't comfortable, but it still grew. And we're in 20-degree weather right now. To be exact, it is 28 degrees right now. It don't need that much sunlight. Still got some sun on it. Despite its conditions, it still grew. And it almost looks as if it needs water, but it doesn't need water. A little bit will go far. Don't need to be watered that much. Right? So now, Apayak, I'm going to send you something just to have a conversation of the plant. Is that upstairs? Go ahead. I'm going to send you the one and only article to have a discussion about this plant and the reflection of our life. But before I do that, are you at 1 Corinthians chapter 3?
God.
So before he picks up, I sent you the article. Before we indulge inside the article, right? This letter is addressed to the Church of Corinth at the time. And we're reading the letter to examine the exemplum. In the first 6 verses specifically, Paul is addressing the behaviors of the reports that he's observed and hearing. Right? I want y'all to keep that in mind because we're going to start from the very first verse. But Apaya, could you pull up that link so we can have the discussion? So now that's what it looks like when it's repotted, right? You could scroll down a little bit so I could give the commentary to the plant, right? just have a background story of the ponytail palm. This ponytail palm specifically, this plant, is a member of the lily family. Go figure. What's Christ's favorite plant? Okay. And it also goes by the names bottle palm and elephant's foot because of its bulbous base. So the bulbous base would be the bottom part, right? I'm just going to speak to the temperature. They're native to a dry Mexican climate. And this could be sent to you guys so you guys have an understanding of the treatment of the ponytail palm and understand its durability and adaptation to certain environments. The temperature goes usually, they're commonly in native dry Mexican climates. And it allows itself to survive outdoors in dry, hot summers, as well as giving it the ability to withstand interior winter heat very well. Once the temperature goes below 55 degrees. So it's durable. However, we're in 20-degree weather. My heat isn't always on. Keep that in mind. So again, to the lighting, it doesn't need that much lighting. And to watering, it stores water within itself for periods of time up until the point where it needs to be watered again. And it will reflect the fact that it needs watering through the browning of the ends and tips of the plant, which means it's showing this exterior side of when it needs to be watered and trimmed and new growth. So you see the yellowing, that's sign of new growth. When it turns brown or it's like a crispy brown, then that means it needs to be watered and trimmed. But when it's yellowing towards greenish, that's new growth, right? And that's pretty much with almost every plant. Now, insects, at times, if you don't put neem oil, which is oregano oil, and many other cleaning oils, on the plant from time to time, almost rarely, if you do not clean the plant, insects have the ability to try to eat it and infect it, and other bugs. And repotting only happens once it grows itself outside of its environment. Now, keep in mind the abstract of this plant. Now let's go into 1 Corinthians chapter 3.
1 Corinthians, right? 1 Corinthians 3, verse 1.
Chat, are y'all tracking before I continue? Are y'all tracking? I want to make sure everybody's tracking before I continue. All right. Go ahead, Sean.
And I, brethren, could not speak unto you as unto spiritual, but as unto carnal, even as unto babies in Christ.
Even as unto babes in Christ. Why is he speaking to them as unto babes in Christ without reading further down? Does anybody know what's happening in the church of Corinth? Precepts don't have the ability as much as you think that they do if you don't understand the setting and sentiments behind what you're calling. What's happening in the church of Corinth right now? Anybody know before I give the abstract? What is happening in the church of Corinth right now? Fornication, idolatry. Okay, con. Sha'an, keep going.
Verse 2. I have fed you with milk and not with meat.
Now, the clear distinction between the milk and the meat, right? What goes down smoother? The milk, right? Because your digestionary tract goes up. You guys know the process, right? Keep reading.
For hitherto you were not able to bear it.
You were not able to bear milk. Keep going.
Neither yet now are you able to bear it.
Even now, you're not able to bear it. What would be milk? What would be considered milk?
Simple doctrine. Simple breakdown.
Basic knowledge of the law. I like that one. Okay. Knowledge was okay. Milk over time, after it's digested, what does it do to your stomach? Especially in this day and age. Diarrhea, okay. Turn sour. Any milk being digested has the ability to affect the stomach. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, even if it's actual raw milk, right? Sean, keep reading.
Verse 3. For you are yet carnal, for whereas there is among you envy.
Stop. Through the consumption of milk, you had enviousness. What would we need to be envious about when we're all learning the same thing? Keep going.
And strife.
Strife. Strife. Go ahead.
And divisions.
Divisions. Meat was yet given to these men, and these men are being contentious through the milk of Christ. And speaking to these individuals as if they're babies, and yet and still, them being babes, they don't know how to conduct themselves after receiving the milk. Milk consists of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and the simplicities of how you need to conduct yourself in scriptures and proper engagements and everything else that goes along the lines of putting in practice godliness. Y'all tracking? Keep reading.
Are you not carnal?
Are ye not carnal? Go ahead.
And walk as men.
What makes you any different from the men outside of this conversation? With the indulgence of milk, you still choose to indulge in those behaviors.
Right.
Nothing. Because if you can't separate yourself from those very same men that he's speaking to as far as carnality shows, then the consumption of anything that you partake in that's of Christ doesn't make you any different than anybody else. Does that make sense before I continue? Keep going.
Verse 4. For while one saith, I am of Paul, and another, I am of Apollos.
What is the difference between these men when the message is the same between both prophets? There's not a preference of receiving of the word. It's the same word, just a different perspective. The very same word. So when you try to, oh, I like listening to this brother, or I like listening to that brother, and compartmentalize any teacher that you listen to inside of a box and only receive one part of whatever that they discuss with you, then you're not actually intentionally listening to them. Because when you hear a teacher They expound on a lot more that you extract from them, being that you only got history from one person, health from one person, especially in this camp. There's many diversities in every single one of the individuals who sat up here and taught. You're just not listening. So when you only assume that a brother is going to only bring out specific history, bring out specific that, then that's all you're fine-tuning your brain to look for. Or that brother about to go into this, or that brother's just about to go into that. How do you know that? You don't know what that brother's going to go into. Brothers have talents. And when you overlook it with the assumption of thinking that they're only going to go into one thing, you fall short of your eyesight on who that brother actually is. Because you have an expectancy of assuming that he's only going to go into one particular form of teaching. That's where you fall short. Keep going.
Are ye not carnal? Verse 5. Who then is Paul?
Who then is Paul then? Keep going.
And who is Apollos?
Who is Apollos? Keep going.
But ministers by whom ye believed.
By ministers by who?
But ministers by whom ye believed.
By ministers by whom ye believed, even as the Lord who?
Even as the Lord gave, Salaki, even as the Lord gave to every man.
To every man. And yet and still your preference is biased according to what you want to hear, not what you want to do. I.e., practitioners of the law. I had this conversation with Ishar earlier and Nathan about how to operate under the Sabbath. It seems that there are law classes that, Lord willing, are going to be implemented very soon because there's gray areas and certain understandings that I thought we taught, and questions don't get asked because of the fear of feeling like it's going to be a stupid question. If anybody has a question, do not hesitate to ask the question. There's no such thing as a stupid question. None whatsoever. It is our obligation and duty to answer every single question. Remember, we're required to give an answer to every man. So if you have a question, ask the question. And to the best of our ability, we'll answer it. I hope everybody understands that. So, in the conversation we had, and while I'm referencing practitioners of the law, I find it very interesting that practitioners of the law will hold themselves to the law when they were liberated and not emphasizing the rehearsing of it under captivity. Does that make sense before I continue? No? If I'm in captivity, we'll use the Sabbath for an example, and I'm gonna lightly touch on it. If I'm in captivity and I don't have to do the things or operate under the Sabbath, I'm not going to operate under the Sabbath to the best of my ability. I do recognize that I'm in captivity, but if I have to go to work, I'm gonna say it one more time like Dr. Umar. If I have to go to work, I must be subjected to payments because I'm in captivity. There's certain things that I'm not in control of. So I have to operate under the guidelines and duties and give, and not give, but receive grace in the time that where I could have rested, I could take that time to when I'm off and give God another day, because it's the effort that matters. It's the effort. Does that make sense? If I have the duty to give, if I have the duty to work on that day and it's the Sabbath, realistically, I'm not supposed to work on the Sabbath by law. However, if I'm rehearsing righteous acts that I failed to fulfill in past time, that my people failed to fulfill past time, and now I'm rehearsing them to the best of my ability, I'm going to make sure that that day is dedicated to him on another day. Because at this particular time period, unfortunately, being that I'm subjected to payments, I have to do diligence to my own household. Have discretion and wisdom. There's too much zealousness in trying to uphold the law when you had the opportunity to back then, before we was in captivity, as opposed to where we are now. Does that make sense before I continue? And then behind it, if you're going to do anything on the Sabbath, given you have the day off, make sure you have good intention behind the work that you're going to do. Especially when some of us have families. I'm going to expound on that in a later class, but law classes will be expounded on and implemented more because there's a lot of gray areas in context where people may be confused about and not knowing how to operate under certain laws in captivity, and trying to reference the law as if you're liberated. No. We messed up. So the rehearsal requires having discretion amongst our captives. Is that clear? So, and then that, it still emphasizes verse 3 of 1 Corinthians 3. Because if you're not openly having an uncomfortable conversation about clarity on certain scriptures, you're privately being contentious and disagreeing lightly, rather bringing the conversation to the person in the first place. You understand? Right. Don't bring your past experiences inside of present situations if you're not willing to have that uncomfortable conversation, especially about clarity. Put the pride aside and have that conversation move forward. What verses are you at?
Verse 6.
Verse 6, go ahead.
I have planted, Apollos watered.
So now, you remember yesterday when I had the conversation about United States, damn near everybody being on the right side of the United States and the left side being unoccupied. I don't think he was here. If you look at the population of the U.S., everybody is pretty much on the right side of the U.S. Metropolises, cities, pretty much pollution. And the whole demographic as far as population goes is all on the right side. On the left side isn't anything but acres of land. Acres. Unpopulated. Some cities have damn near 1,000 people inside of it. Truckers know because when they travel across the world, and I said this all yesterday, they don't see nothing but land. And what do we practice as a people? Agriculture. There was a whole bunch of this. Way more than this. And this is a cousin of a lily, by the way, in case I didn't say that loud enough. So, and what we lost in our captivity, what does Jeremiah 6:23 say? What is it that we're commanded to do in our captivity?
Plant vineyards.
Say it loud.
Plant vineyards.
Plant vineyards. That could be physically, allegorically, or it can be interpreted in similitude. We're storing our houses. Right? But keep in mind the ending of verse 6. Read the end of verse 6.
God, but Yahweh gave the increase.
Romans chapter 12, verse 3, real quick.
Romans chapter 12, verse 3. For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think,
Do not think more highly of yourself than you ought to think. Because this is what causes the three things in the third verse of 1 Corinthians 3. Do not be high-minded in information that was freely given to you, especially being that it was freely given to you. Because you need to freely give it right back. And the intentions behind you learning this is that you liberate those who are captive, to heal and bind up the brokenhearted. Once you learn this, it is your duty and obligation to serve others. That's your sole purpose. You don't move like you're the only one who found a couple precepts and this, that, and third. You just don't move with self-proclaimed name. Yo, as a matter of fact, who named you? Were you calling yourself this, that, and the third? Don't move with self-proclaimed names after reading a couple scriptures. There's not a prophet in the Bible that did that. Why are you sitting there in 2023 doing that? Remove all self-proclaimed titles from yourselves if y'all have any. Nobody called y'all that. And not to mention, this is not the school or the belief system to where you rebrand yourself without dealing with yourself. God don't play that, and he sees all of that. Do not rebrand yourself because you assume you know a few pieces of history. This is what this is speaking to. Don't think highly of yourself because you thought you was under a new banner. You have the ability to rebrand yourself under somebody new without hiding the fact that you have things you need to resolve within yourself. Biggest mistake you made is assuming you could hide behind context, especially in this book, because it'll expose you very fast in public. Keep reading, Sean.
Got it.
That was the end of Romans 12.
There's more to it.
Go ahead.
But to think soberly, according as Yahweh hath dealt to every man the measure of faith. That was it.
I'll go back to 1 Corinthians 3 from.
God, you want verse 6 again? Or?
Verse 7.
First Corinthians 3, verse 7. So then, neither is he that is planted anything.
Neither is he. Don't think high-minded of yourself and don't think you anything. Neither is he that does what?
Neither, Salakia. So then, neither is he that planted
anything.
Anything.
Neither is the planter and neither is the what?
Verse 7. So then, neither is he that planted anything, neither he that watered.
You don't proclaim anything or claim anything as far as the works of the Lord. He's giving you the ability to utilize what he created you to do without taking credibility for it, because all glory is given unto him. Everything you do comes from him on the right side of things. And even then, he's in control of this side as well. So don't assume that in any case, when you perform something, it's out of the works of your own hands. Urging every last one of you, do not hide behind this book, assuming your identity will be hidden. It will be exposed. You will be tested. And you will be constantly put in uncomfortable positions until you reach out for help. Or you'll drown. You'll fall by the wayside. Wayside's a dangerous place. And you don't want to keep being repetitive and failure to where you have to constantly hear rebukings a certain way. What I mean by that is, it shouldn't take a individual almost yelling, almost barking at you for you to get your act and life together. You should get tired of hearing the same repetitive message a million times to where you'd be like, you know what, let me get right. You don't want to be like that, because then you lose self-resolvement within yourself, and you don't even know how to have that conversation with yourself about how to go about certain situations, because you don't have the proper outlets in your life. which then goes to your principle and priority. Because if faith cometh by the hearing of God, what's the latter end of the scripture? Say it loud.
And hearing by the word of God.
And hearing by the word of God. Principle and priority go hand in hand with one another. One of my favorites. Keep going, SHAMI.
God. For Yahweh that giveth the increase.
So now, verse 8.
Verse 8. Now he that planteth and he that watereth are one.
Now he that planteth and he that watereth are one. Though they be nothing, they're one. They're one. Which means one work isn't greater than the other. Now, when he did this, I did this. I mean, he might have watered it, but I planted it.
Right.
Why are you taking credibility in the process of what came first? What parable did I remind y'all of? Let's see if y'all sharp. What parable did I remind y'all of? So what I just said, what parable did I remind y'all of?
The laborers.
Say it loud.
The laborers.
The laborers.
The penny.
Remember when everybody received the same payment? And the worker came in last? What does that parable connect to? In the receivement of obtaining the penny at the latter end.
The one that hit the talent.
No.
The one that goes to the hell.
No. We just mentioned it last night. Works. Emphasize the word works. Works could be physical, well, not obviously labor, but also by word of mouth, by expressing it. The man went to work to receive the penny at the last hour. Somebody else did something to receive the reward at the very last minute.
Come back, the prodigal son.
That's one.
Man on the cross.
Say it loud.
The man on the cross, that's YHWH.
The benefactor. The parables all link with one another. They all link with one another. So now, when we speak to individuals who try to take credibility on who did what at this specific time period, you have some form of pride stirred up inside of you, assuming that your placement and when you did anything matters, when you're supposed to be counted as nothing in their progress. Just be appreciated that you are a pillar or part of the creation of the building. Read that again from the top.
Verse 8. Now he that planted and he that watereth are one.
So they're one. Go ahead.
And every man shall receive his own reward according to his own
And
labor.
every man shall receive his own reward according to their labor. What does that mean? Come on with the Meat Mill lyrics. What else?
Matthew 18, when it says, "What you bound in heaven, but when you bound on earth, shall be bound in heaven."
I like that one. What does "and every man shall receive his own reward according to his own labor" mean?
What you sow.
Say it loud.
You reap what you sow.
I like that one. What you put in is what you get out. Okay. Everyone He'll be judged by your works. Okay. That man shall receive his own reward according to his own labor. Couple more answers. A reward according to his deeds. How about you? You would say that? Okay. Links up with the parable about the talent. Regal said links up to the parable about the talents. Do y'all agree?
That might be, there's a lag, so I don't know if it was, you know what I'm saying?
It's loading. It's a 15. There's about a delay.
Oh, yeah. So I don't know if he was talking about.
Regal said to what I said, the parable of the talents as far as a reward. I just said earlier, the parables are almost seamless amongst one another. So as one's being told, it references another, that goes right back to the law. So y'all understand. A couple of you said reap what you sow. A couple of you gave very good answers, right? If I don't want to jump the gun, so I'm going to rephrase this differently. If the talent I receive for my labor dates back and goes back to the talent, well, the parable of the talents, how would I perform or how would I act in my individual life and making sure I receive 10 talents?
Phrase the question.
If I'm working and I'm aware, given the conversation we had yesterday, if I'm aware that my reward is based on my efficiency of my labor, how much talents am I trying to strive for? Given the conversation we had yesterday.
I'll say as much as you can, because you want a good reward. So the goal is to put in a good amount of work to get that at the end of it. So you want to hone your talents and discover what they are as you grow in the body.
See a couple good answers. All right. Keep that in mind. Verse 9.
Verse 9. For we are laborers together with YHWH.
For we are laborers together with the Father. How? '99's all bad. How are we laborers together with the Father?
That's his will according to John 6.
Read it.
Verse 30, right?
Only she asked Kawan, Abadja, and Apayak responded. Where's the rest of y'all? There's about 40 heads in here, and I'm seeing the same 5 people responding. Where's everybody else at? I ain't see yours, Kwam. Hold on. I seen Regals. I seen about 8 brothers that is active in the questions I'm asking. Where's y'all spirit at? Ask a simple question. Go ahead.
Ezekiel 11:16.
Read it.
Therefore say, thus saith the Lord God, although I have cast them far off among the heathen, and although I have scattered them among the countries, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary in the country where they shall come.
Oof.
Therefore say, thus saith the Lord God, I will even gather you from the people and assemble you out of the countries where ye have been scattered, and I will give you the land of Israel.
That's solid. Real solid. You have them?
Yeah, this is St. John 6:39.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the Father's will, which has sent me, that all which he hath given me, and I shall lose nothing, but shall rise it up again at the last days.
Mm-hmm. John, you got something?
Well, I take it as is there's plenty of scriptures. 2 Ezra 3:1, I believe. It's one that says the Most High does nothing but really reveals His word unto His word unto His servants and prophets. Scripture that says that the Lord is sending many pastors by ministering His word and doing His work is basically being a fisher of men in a sense. That's how you're living with the Most High, because you're doing His will in that sense.
Quam, you're correct, by the way. Quam, yes, but I want you to beat it to the punch better, because it gives like what I'm asking for at the latter end of the sentence, if that makes sense. Like, the reason why we're partakers of, I damn near gave the answer with a precept, but the reason why you are with God is because, remember the conversation we had yesterday, He's already within you. So anything you partake in as far as godliness and good works, you are in representation and embodiment of the Creator and partaking in the good works of Him. Is that clear, guys? Great and counsel mighty work for that eyes. Badger, yeah, from y'all, let's appear for the judgment. Kawan trying to go to judgment seat. You trying to kill brothers. Come on, man. Stay focused. Kawan, that was again the answer. Okay. Just making sure y'all was up and active. Make sure y'all not asleep, and I'm not in y'all pockets, and I'm not in y'all headphones, and y'all not really listening while y'all watching TV. Verse. You got verse 9 already?
I didn't finish it up.
If you could.
You are God's husbandry.
Yep.
You are God's building. Verse 10.
We are God's building. We are God's building. Somebody look up the definition of husbandry. Look up the definition of husbandry. What we do as far as establishing God's building, it must complement one another. Remember the blueprint, because there's an architect. You guys know what an architect is? The care, cultivation, and breeding of crops and animals, management and conservation of resources. We are God's building. And we have the ability to multiply His resources with our hands and many other members. Does that make sense? So, with the care and cultivation of God's building, you want to be extremely mindful of what you put your hands to do. The direction of where you're walking and where you're putting your feet, where you're planting your feet, what you're looking at, what you're listening to, and what you smell. Your nose is very vital too. Very vital. What your mouth speaks because it has the ability to either make or break the foundation that he has given you to establish God's building. Get me the definition of architect now. A person who is qualified to design and to plan and supervise their construction. A person who designs hardware, software, or networking applications and services of a specific type of business or other organization. That sounds like multiple offices, ladies and gentlemen. That sounds like a diversity of gifts inside of an organization, ladies and gentlemen. So each and every part of the organization and building must be on point and on accord with one another. And if there's any issues, if there's any cracks in the crevices of the building, any pieces of falling, whether it be debris, in the infrastructure of the building, they must be addressed immediately before they become larger over time. You address it the minute that you see it. You don't let things build up to the point of where there's a large crack and now you want to address it. And if possible, you might have to cut off a piece of the building and put, since we're talking about buildings, if, like this beam, for example, if it's holding that, and it's not the only thing holding it up, and I need to replace it, I have to get a piece similar to this structure to make it sit so that the top part of it doesn't fall until it's properly replaced. And in doing so, I might have to structure around it to where it's tightened and it dries over time because it's pressure treated. But because we're inside, it's not pressure treated. And I keep it structurized to where it holds still until I get the original placement of the beam. So the replacement is just as strong as the original until the original comes back. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
So we have architect and husbandry. So y'all know what that means, right? How you lay the blueprint, because now I'm speaking to individuals inside the class and on YouTube. How you lay the blueprint will determine the whole structure of the building, from the foundation all the way to the completed sequence. And by the way, as you're building, there will be inspections. Who's the inspector? Christ. Who else? And the establishment of your building, who's the inspector?
God.
We talking about God's building. God's building.
Right.
The saints.
Who else? That's actually a good one. Say it loud.
Because we don't get tested, right?
Say it.
I said the devil.
Satan.
Satan, the adversary.
Elders and captains, leaders. Ashed, OSHA. God's building up. Funny. That's a fact, though. I ain't got. That's a fact. All right, I'll take. That's a fact. Because they do be on. They work Saturdays now.
The elements.
Say it loud.
The elements.
The elements. Remember we had a conversation earlier about the plant and its conditions. How it's still withstanding 20 degree weather.
Right.
This plant gangster, I ain't gonna lie. So now, keep in mind, keep in mind the conditions of God's building, the continual inspections while you're structurizing and building up God's building. Remember, he's inside you. We had the conversation yesterday. Now that he's inside you, the build-up and how you put your hand to do anything, how you direct your feet. Remember, he directs your path, and he makes sure that if you put your hand to do anything, he commands that you do it to the best of your ability. And in your mouth, you speak good things unto righteousness, and not let no filthy lucre come out of your mouth. He covered everything. With your ears, prioritize and listen to what keeps you faithful, which is hearing the word of God. And in your nose and nostrils, let the breath of life return unto you on a daily so that you're constantly renewed. He covered all your senses. So when you have a building that you're building together with a brother, the structure and how it's drawn up first to its completion matters, and how it's being continually inspected, and every single element outside of it that affects the building. And you could have a build with the brother, you could have the internal build. It's a similitude. God's building is a similitude because he's talking about you, and he's talking about the structure of how you perform with one another. Does that make sense? Chat, that makes sense before I continue moving forward? What up? So. Verse 10.
Verse 10. According to the grace of Yahweh, which is given unto me as a wise master builder, I have laid the foundation, and another buildeth thereon.
How is grace measured? I've been waiting to ask this question all day. How is grace measured?
What you do?
I like that one. That's a good answer.
So the works you do?
Don't take Manashah's answer.
Based on the grace you give others.
I like that one too. So the answers y'all can't take by the grace you give others. Samaki Allah said it, and Manashah said by the works you do. Do spiritual accounting. Apeaxel in business class right now. He's not even in. He's not focused. He's not focused. He's not focused.
Brother, recording numbers and spiritual thoughts.
By the standard of repentance. I like that one. Calm. The Lord is not to them that have a broken heart. Save with them a contrite spirit. Come on, is that the answer to my? It's based on your intent. Con. How's grace measured? Time. Okay. By the foundation it is given. I like that one too. Kayal time. Okay.
Well, I don't know if this is specifically what you're looking for.
Nah, all answers are welcome.
But I can say that a big part of what you're saying is in the Lord's Prayer.
Very good. A big part of what I'm saying is part of the Lord's Prayer. Y'all can't take that answer.
Wow.
Joseph, did you give the answer? By the foundation. All right. I was looking for one word, but y'all all have excellent answers. It's by righteousness. It's by righteousness. He wasn't going to say that. Don't say he was going to say that. No, he wasn't. Stop the cap. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. When you read specifically 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9 and 10, right? And Romans 5 and 20. As a matter of fact, get me that real quick. You grab Romans 5:20 and Corinthians 12, verse 9 and 10. So you understand the measurement. These two scriptures I'm about to have read, right? It's basically, it's expanded by the efficiency of the intentions you have when you're following Christ. Because the whole point of when you guys fall is to grow through that fall with the intentions of getting back up again and learning from the fall. God paired everybody together. There's no single individual where he didn't pair somebody with him, somebody with that. He purposely linked us all together. Salvation is personal, don't get me wrong, but it's based on your sufficiency on how you perfect being an architect in somebody else's life. Does that make sense before I continue? Like, but does that make sense? Absolutely, Kwame. Come on. So if you have the ability, and this is going into the lesson, right? Each and every one of us is a testament. However, our past experiences do not define us, but they can aid someone else in alleviating what they're currently going through. I think I say this enough times so y'all understand that, right? Part of you being a continual practitioner of becoming a perfect and masterful architect is having the ability to communicate the blueprint to somebody who doesn't know what they're looking at, i.e. teaching somebody Hebrew, breaking down certain characters, teaching somebody how to go about certain scenarios when they're accustomed to doing it one way as opposed to doing it another way. The blueprint that comes after you completed forms of inspections must be passed down to somebody who doesn't know how to even go about starting the foundation of a building, because all they have is a cornerstone. Do we know who the cornerstone is? So you must teach them how to build off of that single cornerstone, because they don't know in depth the durability of the cornerstone. So when you try to teach them how to build off the cornerstone, they're going to error. And in their error, you either hinder the effect of the build, or you build to the point of where when you follow the blueprint, when you ask for directions and help of the blueprint, when you read the instruction manual and follow the directions step by step instead of skipping the steps, then you know how to properly build off of the original foundation of the building. Go ahead, Marsha.
Is this a good precept? I'm just bringing out what you said. 2 Timothy 2:15. Study to show thyself approved unto God.
Hell yeah, that's a good precept. Excuse my language.
That needed not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. I just brought that up because that word workman.
Absolutely. And in that, you could even use the whole scripture. When you study, when you read the manual from front all the way to back, some people read faster than others. That's okay. But some people have the ability to understand instructions off a single read and perform off the single read, because the intent behind making sure that they're a master builder is making sure they pay attention to every detail to a T. Does that make sense before I continue? And you can't start in the middle of, in any foundation, it's rare, if not never happens, that you start in the middle of a building. Why don't you start in the middle of a building? Kasaja, don't answer.
I mean,
yeah.
every manual, when you get what is it, like a cabinet or something, it tells you the little tools. It tells you the index.
You notice every instruction manual starts. Go ahead.
Has a little index of the certain sections, and so you just want to start from the beginning to make sure you got the little package.
Every instruction manual you have when you order dressers, when you guys order packages that are 150 pounds, and I want to kill y'all for it because it breaks my back every time I have to lift it off the truck. When you start to build and assemblize the furnitures and whatever have you, it's never started at the beginning. It started from a place of stronghold, which is often a corner.
They also, like you said, but they define. They tell you how many screws you have, what they do, and it sort of defines it.
Samaki Alim just made a great point. With every single package received, or with the instructions, it comes with the amount of each tool utilized to create and finish the assembly of whatever you're building. Which means you do not go out or use or need anything extra because the packages that you receive are already contently created for you to build according to what's available when it's sent to you. Does that make sense? Everything is packaged contently for you to build and establish the things that you receive. That's an excellent point. Excellent point. What verses are we at? Verse 10, right?
What do you want, Corinthians?
Nah, because I expounded on it. Let's get back to 1 Corinthians 3.
1 Corinthians 3, verse 11. For other foundation can no man lay, that is laid, which is YHWH, Christ.
Now, get me Isaiah 28, verse 16. So we understand who this chief cornerstone is. And in the letter, you have mentioning of the Old Testament in reference to a man who's only physically in the flesh shown himself in the New Testament. And how ironic that he's being referenced in this context. And yet that same foundational thought process was in the Old Testament, given the times that Isaiah was living in. Go ahead, Al.
28:16. Isaiah 28, verse 16. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I lay Zion for a foundation, a stone.
He lays who?
I lay in Zion for a foundation, a stone, a tried stone.
A tried stone.
A precious cornerstone.
A precious cornerstone.
A sure foundation.
A sure foundation. Immovable and unstoppable foundation that you build on. And whatever you build on it will refine itself in the process if you follow the instructions according to what is written. Go ahead.
3 main things should be built off that cornerstone.
Yourself. Say that loud. I loud.
3 main things should be built off that cornerstone. Yourself, your marriage, and the brotherhood.
Cap Shamak said 3 things. Did y'all hear what he said? 3 things should be built off that cornerstone. Yourself, your marriage, and the brotherhood. I need precepts in the chat for what he just said, and as well as 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 11. Where's y'all spirit at as far as the context goes? on why it's important to build carefully on this chief cornerstone. Grab me real quick Ephesians 2 verse 1. Let's see what that was cool. Because all of the babies in the spirit, don't mind the baby. Give me Ephesians 2 verse 20.
Ephesians chapter 2 verse 20. And are built upon the foundation of the apostles and prophets. YHWH Mashiach himself being the chief cornerstone.
Being the chief cornerstone that the prophets built upon. Go ahead.
In whom, verse 21, in whom all the building filthily framed together.
Say that again. Say that again real slow.
In whom all the building fitly framed together.
Fitly framed. Fitly framed. You know what the modern day term for that is? Seamless. Seamless. Read that again for the top.
Verse 21. In whom all the building fitly framed together groweth unto a holy temple.
Groweth unto a holy temple. Being fitly framed. That's what one accord sounds like. That's what one accord looks like. That's how you build a building. Fitly, you know what seamless look like? You ever looked at a cookie cutter apartment and they all look identical? You ever had like an actual sphere in your hand and it's actually a sphere? Not to take light of what we just read, but to show the importance of how it's fitly framed. And I'm emphasizing the objects and comparisons. Let me read some answers real quick. Sirach 25 verse 1. Real quick, if anybody has their pocket phone. This is the stone which is set at knowledge of you builders. Come.
You want it?
If you go ahead, sir.
Sirach chapter 25 verse 1. In three things I was beautified and stood up beautiful both before Yahweh and men. The unity of brethren, the love of neighbors, a man and a wife that agree together.
Listen. Listen. I ain't gonna lie. I think Gabaryam got y'all. I ain't gonna cap. Well, he linked right with what Shamak said. Very good answer. As long with the rest of the precepts inside the chat. Of mine and doeth them, I would liken them unto a wise man who built this house upon a rock. Man, listen. Y'all active today. Y'all active today. But as long as y'all active and in tune with the main point of what I'm bringing out, and as well as the many other lessons that will continually go on with the rest of the teachers, then y'all stay sharp and high-minded in making sure that the structure of the building is fitly, I'm gonna start saying that, fitly framed. That's an insane way of explaining how perfect the building is. Fitly framed. What kind of eyesight and physicality you gotta have to have something fitly framed and fit seamlessly? Me, carpentry wise, I'm visualizing something being fitly framed. You know how hard it is to find a stud 2x4 and build a box out of it without it being bent and curved a little bit to the side? When you go pick up studs from Home Depot, you gotta look it down completely at 2x4. You gotta lift it up slightly. You gotta lift it up slightly like this, and you gotta make sure this one good. Let me grab this one. And everybody else doing the same thing you're doing while you trying to pick one out. Now this one good. Be sick. But just imagine something fitly framed. Even sheetrock. You look at a piece of sheetrock, they look flat on the thing, but when you take it off, something be bent forward and bent back. And then the person who go over the drywall, all relatively to the class, when the person goes over the drywall, they got to sort of screw in lightly to the sheetrock because it might break or might crack as you're screwing into it. And the board might come up slightly, which means the person who now has to put compound and Durabond all over the wall to make the wall look whole and seamless. They have to put more effort and using a curved knife to fill in where it's bend at. So it has to match where the bend is. It has to match. This has to be filled completely. So the curved knife has to be more compound in between, and the compound has to fit in between here and lighter on this side so that it fits completely like a flat wall. Each error matters. How you construct a building and model a building through the buildup of the incremental progress matters. When you mess up, somebody has to clean up behind you. That's what I'm also trying to show you guys and pictorially show you guys the process of drywall, because drywall and making it look seamless is not easy. Fitly framing a building is not easy. But me and my family make it look easy. I ain't gonna cap.
Even when like if you're on a commercial project and the engineers, what they do for all the other subcontractors to go off of, they snap lines for everybody to measure off of. If they're off a 16th of an inch, it will throw the whole building off by inches or even foot.
Let me explain.
On how long the building
Let me add to what Shamak is saying. Go ahead, Cass.
I was just saying it adds up.
Everything adds up to one another, right? Let me explain something to y'all. In God's building, and the fitment of God's building, we're going to correlate it to what we see in front of us. When you see road work, the first thing they do before they dig anything is they have to spray paint the pavement to make sure that you can dig safely wherever you intend on digging. Because there's ground wires underneath certain parts of the city, and if you tap those wires, you could die, you could take somebody's electricity out, and it's an immediate hazard.
For telecommunications as well.
And for telecommunications. So now, there's each part of the city, granted they're all a-holes, you have specific people that have specific purposes, you have street painters, you have carpentry painters, not carpentry painters, you have carpentry, you have each hand in making sure that everything goes according to plan. There's some people in certain departments where if you mess up by a hair, you could lose your job. You have to be precise. Where did they get that from? When you went to go give a sacrifice, me and Shamak was talking about this earlier, dying laughing. Levites have the ability to sense from miles away whether that lamb is good or not. Don't bring that shit. Don't bring that over here. They sacrificing their life to sacrifice. And you about to bring that nonsense over here? That got blemish. No. Get that out of here.
See, I was walking different from the
Prophets of the Lord back then, especially us as a people, we're trained to make sure everything went by seamlessly. If we messed up, even in our messing up, we made sure that our sacrifices was on point. As a nation. Damn, I messed up. Let me make sure my dove is. Damn, I gotta give up my favorite dove. My favorite. Damn. But you know what? We made sure that in our mess ups, that our bounce back had to be greater than the mess up. Even in our mishaps, we still rose up above to the occasion to make sure we did right. And we didn't have to give up our favorite animal no more because we messed up. You know why sacrifices change a man's behavior? Because you curate favoritism on holding on to something that may be used in your error. So when you have favoritism amongst your agriculture and you fall short and you have to give it up, how does that emotionally make you feel when you have to give it up? It make you never want to do that shit again. Excuse my French. So you make sure you don't ever do it again. We need to get back to those sentiments. You do something once, you make sure you don't never do it again. You think something once, you make sure you don't ever do it again. Redirection. The power of redirection. What happens if I do this? He did it this way, so let me. I could do it something else way. Let me try a different angle. Different angle will lead to the same result. There's men before you to tell you not to do something. You continue to do it. Okay, go ahead. Assuming that, he don't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He been here before you. When you fail not to listen to the instructions before you, i.e. the blueprints, you think or assume that you're going to do it contrary or different to the blueprint before you, when that was set in stone and set for you for a reason. If you have the ability in this day and age to see a faulty blueprint, then at time, that's when you correct it. Not assuming that you're better than the blueprint before you, but modifying it for the purpose of fitly framing. Does that make sense? You have the schedule cited. Let me see. Hold it up against. Okay. Yep. I hope I missed some of y'all answers. Let me see. Make sure. Con. As long as y'all, so y'all tracking before I continue? Chat, y'all tracking? We have verse 11, right?
Con, I can read it again.
If you could.
1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 11. For other foundation can no man lay that is laid.
So
That which is laid.
That's verse 10, right?
Oh, that's verse 11.
You didn't read the end of verse 10.
Oh.
Read verse 10 from the top.
Verse 10. According to the grace of YHWH, which is given unto me as a wise master builder, I have laid the foundation.
So Paul has laid the master foundation, being that he's a wise master builder. And I want to be clear, in any form of when Paul comes off as if he's boasting himself, that's a man of hearing the word so much about himself that he's presenting himself as the man that he hears about. He don't speak on himself. Just so we're clear. These aren't self-names that he's given himself. Other than him claiming, not even claiming, but rightfully asserting the fact that he's a Hebrew Israelite in times of the Greeks. This isn't off topic, right? But it's amazing how you only catch one reference of a man, being that many people wrestle with his scriptures, mentioning the fact that he's of the stock of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and one of the greatest men in the New Testament, besides Christ. This is something for y'all to ponder on. You have a man mentioning a tribe that's supposed to be done away with, but one of the greatest men in the New Testament, and given letters throughout the whole New Testament before Christ reiterates those letters in Revelations. Ain't that something? You know, it's almost as if that's another night. Read that from the top again.
Verse 10. According to the grace of YHWH, which is given unto me as a wise master builder, I have laid the foundation.
So he laid the foundation. Remember, there's a cornerstone. Now there's a foundation. Just like Apollos as well, and his teachings have laid a foundation. Because remember, the separation between the two that the church was having was, I'm of Apollos, I'm of Paul. But neither is the individuals who lay down the foundation, because they don't matter. But you give respect and credence and honor and glory to the fact that they had the ability to create the foundation. You don't bark up against something that came before you ever. Go ahead.
And another builded thereon.
And another builder thereon. Who builded on top of it? Apollos and the other prophets at the time. The followers at the time. Right? Painting the analogy. Go ahead.
But let every man take heed.
But let every man take heed.
How he builded thereon.
Why? Who's the cornerstone?
Christ.
And the foundation?
Israel. Body itself.
You said who or what?
You guys had it. Chat, who is the foundation that they need to take heed? Laws. All right, I'll take that one. Okay. YHWH, Khan, the law, Khan, the prophets. Yep. All good answers. All good answers. All good answers. Now, do y'all remember how much analogies I gave y'all as far as fitly framed and establishment of the... Do y'all understand why I'm emphasizing the importance of considering the building because of the corner and the building itself? You are the building. Christ is in your corner. And in that corner,
Perfection.
Louder.
Perfection should follow through. And
Through practice. As a boxer, you need a break. When time goes out, where do you go? Mixed martial artists. Where did they go? Did they go to the middle of the ring or did they go to the corner? Who's in their corner? They're who?
Team.
Their team, their coaches, their cornerstone. Everything imitates the expression of Christ being the chief cornerstone. And you always resorting back to that cornerstone and taking heed unto the cornerstone. Taking heed is also listening. Chat, does that make sense? What? You better have caught that. Everything, art will imitate the hell out of the scriptures, being that it's of Christ. When your corner is Christ and you hurtle back to Christ, what do? What is it that you do when you hurtle back to Christ? Because remember, damn, I don't want to say it because I'm kind of giving you all the answer. What do you do when you hurtle back to Christ? You're almost there. You're warm. When you hurtle back to Christ, what is it that you do? Go ahead.
Of a precept.
Go ahead.
If it goes along. This is Revelation chapter 3 and verse 19. I'll start. As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Be zealous, therefore, and repent. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, will I come into him and will sup with him and he with me.
I like that. That's fire. House of Kwame, you're correct.
fear the Lord.
I'm looking for one word, y'all. Give me the one word. When you hurtle back to Christ, what is it that you do? When you go back to the corner, what do you do?
Humble.
No. What do you do? Yes, but this the one word I'm looking for. What do you do when you go back to Christ? Go back to Christ's corner.
Recuperate. Redirect.
You're the closest.
Prepare.
You both are the closest. It's one word. Realign, repent. Y'all not wrong, but I'm looking for one word. Y'all gonna get upset.
Relief, rejuvenate.
None of you guys are incorrect. You guys are all correct. But the word is one. Matizak he's the closest. It's one word. It's a 4-letter word. Pray. You pray. When you go back to Jesus Christ, when you go back to the corner, the conversation, you guys are correct. All of you are correct. But the word I was looking for was pray. It's pray. When you hurdle, go back to the corner between you and him, the conversation that nobody hears in private. Confess you pray. You guys are all correct though. And part of you resorting back and going back to that corner, remember he's already within you. So there's going to be certain words that you can't. Hey man, y'all.
Yeah, I said rest for a minute.
Y'all be like, you dead ass. He's right though. He's right. And in that rest, with strengthening and everything else, it's, hey man, hey, let's focus, brother. We must stay focused. So it's really prayer. When you go back to that corner, you have that conversation with God. And there's going to be certain words and certain prayers that you may not have the ability to express with your words, but he knows your spirit because he's within you. So whatever you can't express with words, sometimes you might let a tear or two fall. Does that make sense? All right. What verse are we at? So y'all folks.
Verse 11.
Verse 11. Long as we tracking.
Verse 11. For other foundation can no man lay than that is laid, which is YHWH, Mashiach.
Verse 12.
Verse 12. Now, if any man build upon this foundation, gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, stubble.
Stop. This is why you need to take heed to the foundation, because the foundation is built of what? As far as material goes, what is it?
A rock.
But let's put it inside of a sense of value. What is it? As far as the old world goes, what would it be considered as the highest form of gold? Gold. So let's put the foundation in a box of, not in a box, but the foundation is gold. How would you make sure that it's fitly framed? You don't melt it no more because it's already solid. The foundation itself is solid. What would you build on top of it? Diamonds are worthless.
Literally.
Yes. Ain't even on the stock chart. You would build gold on top of it. Remember, fitly framed matters in each and every step of the way. We spoke to the instruction manual. You spoke to the instruction manual and the proper materials and the right amount of materials. So how you build on top of the gold frame, be mindful of gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, and stubble. You don't want to build precious stones, wood, hair, stubble. And I'm not raising any last one of you up to build precious stones, wood, hair, or stubble, or hay or stubble. So now, keep in mind how you build anything that, to the best of your ability, you beat the establishment of making sure you put the foundation back on its feet. Gold, and you stack gold. You put on top of, you make sure it's repetitively gold within yourself and in collaboration with who you also build another building with. Your works must be gold all across the board to the best of your ability. If it comes out silver, that's okay. But strive for gold. Don't strive for stubble. If you start off stubbling, stay out the building. Do you have the ability to become a better builder? Do not be inconsistent with building. Because when you start off gold, remember the inspections and tries as they go on, do not make gold, precious stones, stubble, gold. That's not ideal. Because the foundation you already got is gold. You got the foundation already set for you, clean. Keep it that way. Go ahead.
This is Psalm 133:1 in the KJV. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity.
Why did you mention that?
I mentioned this to show how even, you know what I mean, like unity, unison, us working together, laboring together is a crucial factor in the body itself, especially for growth. You know what I mean? And like you was harping on, we have to make sure we're precise in ourselves so that we can play the role that we are called to play for the creation and for the rebuilding of the body. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yashar, you said, so strive for, let me see what you said. So strive for gold upon the fund. Yes. Yes, Ak. Yes. Strive for gold. Strive for gold. Which taps right into striving for masteries. Because in striving for gold, in order for you to strive onto gold, you must have the ability to know how to heat up the gold enough for it to melt into liquid. To beat it. There's multiple workmanship into making sure that gold is beat into the shape and figure that it needs to be, especially building off of, might be up, I don't know, but especially beating it to the point of where it's sufficient enough to establish yourself on the already made gold foundation. Does that make sense?
Here, a quick precept.
Yep.
Psalms 119:72.
Mm-hmm.
The law of thy mouth is better unto me than thousands of gold and silver.
What precept is that? So that they could
Psalms 119:72.
Psalms 119 verse 72 was just read. It's an excellent precept. Give me verse. We just read verse 12, so now let's get verse 13.
Verse 13.
Go ahead.
Every man's work shall be made manifest.
Every man's work shall be made manifest. Here's where temptations come, trials and tribulations come, because you are also that gold, because you are the building. God is within you. So how you refine yourself, how you beat yourself to pieces to become a continual refinement piece of gold to yourself and those amongst you will be tested. Do not be periods of stubble. Do not be periods of precious stones. Do not be inconsistent with the continual refinement of the precious metals. Do not be inconsistent. Stay consistent. It is okay to voice the fact that the physical labor is weary, but make sure that you're able to vocalize it and get right back to the well-doing of the process. The work at times, not teaching people, of course, but the work at times and tolerating the evilness and wickedness around you is grievous. It's okay to say that. But the end goal of it all is that you pray that Christ comes speedily to destroy this damn place. because that's coming very, very soon. So, read that from the top again.
Verse 13. Every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it.
For the day shall declare it. That day, in that day, and day by day. Day by day, that refinement process will be tested. Everything that you pray for and ask for, does God give you it, or does he put you in a position to receive it? To test it. The things that you ask, what do some of you, if you guys don't mind me asking you, you feel transparent enough to tell me, what do some of you guys pray for? Before you guys answer, do not say for the safety of other brothers. What do y'all pray for? Before y'all answer, don't say, I pray for the school, I pray for what do y'all pray for outside of the safety for each and every one of us? Because number one, I appreciate you guys. But what else do you guys pray for?
I'll tell you right now. I pray for peace.
Mm-hmm.
I pray for the wisdom to understand the scriptures.
Mm-hmm.
I pray for safety for my family.
Mm-hmm.
I pray for like the weaknesses that I have to be like resolved somehow, and life usually comes right then.
Doesn't it feel like the things that you ask for, the test comes the same day to see how you would deal with the situation?
Right.
No, ask
comes soon. Comes very soon.
Mm-hmm. What do you pray for, Masha?
Pray a lot for stability.
Mm-hmm.
Pray a lot for sanity. Pray a lot for endurance.
Mm-hmm.
I try to not pray for faith things. I've been recently trying to pray for things that be foundational.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I know it'll come, the other stuff will come later. Like, I try not to focus about like money and stuff. I try to focus these main things.
Mm.
Like peace, one of them.
Mm.
But yeah.
Do they come like, do you get tested for the things that you pray for? Like,
oh yeah.
Come. Everything anybody asks for in here almost comes immediate. Can anybody tell me why? You got something? What do you pray for? Gabar, what do you pray for? Do you pray?
Yeah.
What do you pray for?
I pray to take the kingdom.
That's it?
I pray for shelter, wisdom, food, patience.
You said food and patience?
Yeah.
Sean?
I pray for a lot of things. One of the main things I pray for is always the courage and strength to endure.
Mm.
And I'll say this, like it's not. I mean, I think people take prayer lightly, but I think Christianity gave the Bible such a bad name that when people think about praying, they're like, oh, it's just raise your hands, brother. So, you know what I'm saying? But like, when you pray for something, man, you gotta make sure, because it's a serious thing. You talk to the Most High. You gotta make sure that you can handle what you're asking for. That's why I think it's in James you pray in prayer. It's like, I pray that the Most High bless the works of my hands and the fruits of my labor, and then like the next day or whatever, like whatever comes my way, I'm like, okay, here's how I multiply my hands. Here's why I like increase strength and patience. I just pray for patience, and the Most High put me in a spot to where I gotta exercise this, or I'm gonna take a major loss in whatever the case may be. So you gotta recognize what you pray for when you get it.
Mm-hmm. So now be real. How much y'all receive the things that y'all ask for? And don't lie.
What do you mean?
To the things that you ask for in prayer, how often or how fast? Yeah, how often do you receive the things that you ask for? Not the experience, but the reward. Y'all can be honest. Does it depend on how you react to each and every engagement throughout the day? Come.
Like you were saying yesterday, you know, a lot of times I feel when we pray.
Ada, bro, go ahead.
When you were saying yesterday, you were having a conversation about, you know, when you pray, sometimes like you were saying, if it's a measure of faith, it's all received in the measure of faith you have. There's a lot of times I know confidently I'm gonna receive it. It's just simple prayers, and I know like get me through the day. I've had smooth days, like, you know, I just glide through the day. Those simple things like that. So I think it's how it has to do with the measure of faith that you have.
I think it also you got
that boy Manshaw on fire. Go ahead.
You gotta like keep your eyes open too, because a lot of times you'll pray for something, and you have to recognize when that test comes or when is the appropriate time. Because there'll be plenty of times I'll pray for peace, or I'll pray for like because I used to have a bad temper. I'll pray for like calmness and peace, like, you know what I'm saying? And then something will happen and I'll catch myself getting like frustrated or like, you know, and then I have to go back and apologize to a person or someone. Man, my bad. Shouldn't, you know, but I receive it. You know what I mean?
Calm. Listen. How much you ask for resolvement, self-resolvement? It got quiet.
I don't think I know what that means. That's why.
Resolvement? Yeah, but resolvement. Having the ability to have self-resolvement. Like, you'll go through a familiar experience that you once went through in your past that you thought you overcame because it's emotionally absent in the moment, but you're still suffering from it.
Right.
How much y'all pray for self-resolvement? That's self-resolvement.
That should be like a marker, right? Like if it's the same test from a couple years back, or the old you, when they come back again, like, oh, that ain't. It should be okay. I'm strong with this. I've achieved that, so it should be like a marker in a sense. That would be the answered prayer in a sense.
Okay. I like to say that I like to call it opening and closing doors and leaving doors creaked open. When you're moving forward, many of us aren't aware of making sure the doors behind us are locked and closed completely. So when you get backdoored, so to speak, you didn't check the locks on the previous doors, which is a form of reflection of self, and making sure that the doors that were previously in front of you are permanently behind you. And if you're allowing that door to be creaked open, then you're going to have continual problems with the current doors in front of you because you refuse to lock that door completely and make sure that it stays locked. Now, there's some doors that are closed. They look locked, but they're not locked. That people go through.
That's what Christ mean when he said, you know, like when the demon leaves and he finds.
Kawan, does that make sense? Real quick. Kawan, does that make sense as far as a result? Like, have you ever had an experience where, and you thought you got over something? It might be a late, because it's a late delay. So I don't know if I answered this question. You might be initially going over. Yes, sir. What was you saying, Samad?
When Christ said, you know, when the demon leaves and find that place clean, brings back. Does that have anything to do with you saying locking the door?
Absolutely. If that door isn't closed completely, whatever barges back in is 10 times as stronger, and make sure that to the best of its ability that you don't move forward to open up those other doors. And you know what creates the consistency and making sure you open up new doors and keeps the other one closed? Discipline, self-love, consistency. And you're rising above your comfortability level to making sure that you continually have a consistent way of opening the doors with intent, good intentions. Which goes into my main point that I had a conversation with you guys about yesterday and today. Stop assuming you know what's behind the door that you're about to open in front of you. Stop assuming that you know what's behind the door in front of you. When you reach for the door, stop immediately resolving it to a scary movie as if it's almost negative every single time you open the door. Are we tracking? We tracking before we continue. Khan, Bush, continue reading.
For the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire.
Because it shall be revealed by fire. Fire is the best cleansing agent on the planet, especially when it comes to refinement of precious metals. The best cleansing agent ever. Has the ability to almost immediately reshape anything it touches without any form, shape, or void while it's refining whatever it touches. Go ahead.
And the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is.
And the fire shall try every man's work. What is a work?
Indeed.
What else? Could do. I'm about to extend it real quick.
I wouldn't say that because the word can be negative as well.
Come. Watch me range it. Watch me range it.
Something pleasing before the Lord as far as interactions with the betterment of your peers.
I'm reading good works. What about the bad ones? Work isn't categorized under good or evil. In this context that I'm about to expound on. Remember, if any man's work, it didn't say good work. His work's about to be tried. Work could also speak to the proficiency and efficiency of physical labor and what's in here. And what's in here.
Character.
That too. Because when these are off balance, being you have the cornerstone within you, it'll show when it's burnt up and it's revealed in that day and in continual days. And if you're not in a process of continually refining what is inside you for you to efficiently work at what's in front of you, God will hold you accountable to how you're establishing and building what he stored within you. Because clearly, you're taking for granted the blueprint, the chief cornerstone. By messing with and disturbing the foundation within you and outside of yourself. Keep reading.
Verse 14. If any man's work abide.
Abide. What is abide? Stand still. What else? Dwells. What else? It is. Okay. Endure. How about endure? If any man's work endures, which he had built thereon, durability, adaptive. How is it that a man's work has the ability to withstand fire if he's not familiar with the element already? Think about it. How would any man know how to make sure that their foundation tests itself and still holds firm against fire if it's not continually being refined under that element? It would have to be continually renewed. That foundation and its process of it being built up into a building before it reaches the master has to be continuously practiced and to put in perfection to hold itself up.
Right.
Unto it being silver or gold. Because you men and women and children are to be practitioners of building God's building in silver and gold. Women have an obligation and duty too in this building. Diversity in offices create wealth inside of the process and creation building and God's building at that. Keep reading, Sean.
Verse 14. If any man's work abide which he hath built thereupon, he shall receive a reward. Verse 15. If any man's work shall be burnt, he shall suffer loss.
If any man's work shall be burned, he shall suffer loss. Go ahead.
But he himself shall be saved, yet so as by fire.
What does this mean in context? Before I break it down in a similitude, what does this mean?
On the other side.
That's the deeper one. Very good answer.
It's a he himself, right?
Mm-hmm. The man's work is burnt up, but he himself shall be saved, which is an example of what? 5-letter word. The builder has the opportunity to go again. What's that example of? It's a 5-letter word, y'all. Chat. 5-letter word. The man's work was burnt up. He's still a builder. What does he have the ability to do? Try again, right? What is that an example of?
And retry.
Mm-mm.
Grace.
Loud.
Grace.
Grace. He's saved from the fire. He has an opportunity to rebuild. Grace. Mercy too, yes. Mercy too, big sis. Mercy. Grace or mercy has given him the opportunity to rebuild again. Go ahead.
Verse 16.
But yet, hold on, but yet so by fire. So now, if his works is burnt up, and it's being shown in front of the individual who's to see it that day, how would he feel on the inside after seeing that his work is burnt up? How does that feel internally? Hurts? What is that an example of?
I wouldn't say condemnation, but
if you're given grace and mercy, right? How do you feel after your work has been burnt up in front of your master?
the scripture says,
Isn't it similar to a burning sensation of embarrassment? Shame. It's a burning feeling of shame and embarrassment. You about to present your works to the master builder. He burns it up completely, and a shame comes over you. Go ahead.
Verse 16. Know ye not that ye are the temple of Yahweh?
Know ye not that you are the temple of the Father? Go ahead.
And that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you.
And that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you. So this is the point I've been trying to hit home all night, with the importance of your work and how you present it, and that being that it's inside you. So how you internally work affects the outside work of self. Keep reading.
Verse 17. If any man defile the temple of God, him shall God destroy.
I ain't say it. God did. Because the ability of recognizing and knowing that he's inside of you, and you're still moving contrary to the purpose of him giving you the right building tools, the instructions, the specific amount that you take heed to for proper fitment and placement in certain parts and areas of your life, and you have yet to resolve, of course you're going to be destroyed. Of course you're going to be destroyed. Keep reading.
For the temple of God is holy, which temple you are. Verse 18.
Verse 18.
Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seem to be wise in this world, let him become a fool.
Let him become a fool to those who think that they're wise in this world. And let no man deceive and lie to himself. Go ahead.
This is Ecclesiasticus 19 and 20. The fear of the Lord is all wisdom, and in all wisdom is the performance of the law, and the knowledge of his omnipotency.
Why'd you pull that? About those who being wise in the world? That's why you pulled it.
So what, like I was showing what real wisdom was.
Okay, Con. I had me lost for a second. So to the precept of reading be for those who being wise to the world, you precepted it by giving what true wisdom is in the world. Con, okay. Con. All right. So let no man deceive himself. Let no man lie to himself. Because remember, the initial conversation we had is that do not let any man, any one of ourselves, think that we're of anything. We are of God's. We're bought with a price, more importantly. So we are to continually pay that debt, minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, week by week. Keep going. Keep going.
Let him become a fool that he may be wise. Verse 19. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Most High.
For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. Is foolishness. Everything that extracts as far as stoicism, the quotes that you guys share on Facebook, the corny motivational quotes, motivational speakers, all that other weirdo, it all extracts itself from the Bible. from the Bible. You want business secrets? They're in the Bible. You want relationship advice? It's in the Bible. You want to overcome trauma, depression, all that other good stuff? It's in the Bible. If you can't articulate Old English, call on a brother so that they can break it down to you. If there's a gray area in you understanding a law, ask the question. Don't be afraid to ask questions in this camp, please. There are men in positions to answer their questions to the best of your ability. Remove yourself from the emotional attachments to the beliefs that you have growing up and get to the clarity of the scriptures. If you really want to grow as a man, woman of the children of Israel, as God's chosen people, then you have to understand that context and clarity inside the Bible supersedes your emotional beliefs of what you was raised on, what your experiences were. If that's not the interpretation of the scriptures and your personal emotional attachment to what you're reading, then you, my friend, have a problem, because you're not willing to move past the experience that kept you emotionally entangled with what isn't true. So you're comfortable sitting in something contrary to what's actually being read and brought out, because it's compromising how you want to live your own life. Don't be secretly contentious. That gets sniffed out. If you have a question on anything, ask the question. Any questions about the class tonight before I close?
I have a comment. I don't know if you want to hold off on it.
Go ahead.
The comment was basically what you said about everything is in the book, and we like a lot of people go to external means to find, like, they read these self-help books, how to lose weight, how to get out of depression, how to do all these different things, and they go to Esau. Esau stole our talent and is selling back to us. It's crazy. He stole it from us and he's selling it back to us. That's exactly what it is. But it's just an observation I wanted to bring out.
But we believe it more when it comes to him.
That's right.
I wanted to ask something, sort of a question. So our personal fight in this battle, like individually.
Say it loud.
My question is that our personal fight, our personal battles in this fight individually can help us win salvation for our people, regardless if we're winning or losing. But the impact we have on our peers in this truth and how we treat each other is void, or it's like it's not one over the other.
You asked two questions? Yeah, that don't sound like a question.
No, I'm just trying to
On what? Your behavior, how you conduct yourself?
Yeah.
It impacts, it does impact your peers. Your behavior, me and Shamak, we call the term in the group BOE. You know what it means?
Me over everything.
BOE.
I
Brothers of Enforcement.
Oh, brothers of enforcement. What did he say? He said me OE.
Nah, you good. BOE. If I see your behavior move contrary to how we operate, I got to look at Samaki Allah. I got to look at Sha'an. I got to look at Manashah. And I have to consider your behavior. If you're messing up, and I allow it, it might be infectious to him, because behaviors are contagious. Whether it be good or bad. If it's good, pay no mind to it. If it's bad, I gotta nip it in the bud.
So that in itself is a factor in as well as the battle that we have individually.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So both of those are
it's a singular battle that you have before it's noticeable or recognizable to anybody else. You just felt comfortable enough to dispose it in front of everybody, assuming that it's okay, and it isn't. It's always the personal battle before it becomes observational to everybody else that you're dealing with something.
What's that guy's name? The guy's name was wasn't it Aiken? Aiken the chance. It was a personal battle of greed, but he got his whole tribe called out, and the families, and then his family, and then ultimately he died. For everybody. In front of everybody.
It stemmed from your individual standpoint within the relationship with between you and the Lord, and then your interactions with your peers are the outcome of what you had going on individually. So it's just all the same battle. It's just two different points.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you're moving, like I had to load what you just said because you put certain words in the wrong sense. Yeah. If you have individual interactions with yourself and you're moving, you're part of an organization, but your personality is different from those amongst you. Everybody in this camp has different personalities. You all have different experiences, different upbringings, but the mission is the same. If that personality makes your personal reality contrary to what God commands you to do, then that's when it's a problem. Is that clear?
Clear. I was just bringing that out. I want clarity because you was talking about how basically you wouldn't want to affect somebody in the wrong way while we're
like your behavior or somebody else's behavior might rub somebody the wrong way because they're unaware of your upbringing.
Right.
Now, that could be, to me, how I look at it is there's a time and place to act. There's one. Knowing one another is two. Having that conversation with one another about certain behaviors in certain environments is a third. But you have to have a built-in rapport with the person to feel comfortable enough to express everything I just said. Right. That's part of laboring amongst one another. Why am I gonna? And anybody following orders, do you not have to have a relationship with the person? Nobody listens to anybody and you don't have a relationship with them. Right. Unless you check in with them, have conversation with them, blah, 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 blah. Right. It's an unwritten rule where if you're in a position to give orders, you have to have a relationship with the people that service the people that service the people, or else you're useless. Right. What is your position for if you don't have a relationship with the people? So in giving orders, instructions, and everything else, if you're not willing to have those, again, uncomfortable conversations, knowing one another, understanding one another, what is the purpose of your use in trying to instruct somebody on how to do right when you don't know them from a hole in the wall? Right. Here, in this organization, we don't do that. I don't tell nobody to do something and I don't know you. Right. That's weird on my behalf. If I'm telling you to do something and I don't know you. I can't speak to anybody and tell them to do something if I do not have a conversation and know you for who you are. And that's how it's supposed to be. You understand? The relationship and everything must be established with speaking and how to go about conversing with one another so that you understand what you could say, what you say without intentionally trying to offend, and so on and so forth. So that's what builds the relationships. The arguments, the unintentional arguments, the unintentional offenses, stuff like that.
You said so sometimes if you don't know somebody like that, though you try to, with good intent, you're not. It might spark pride because you don't really know that person. Like who says, man, you don't even know me. Hence, knowing them is like, you know what, I have a connection with this brother. You're more willing to hear, how oriented that right.
That makes sense, because to somebody on the street, somebody on the line might have a personal relationship with him, and I might go speak to the person on the street. He's gonna look at me like, I don't know you, but the person on the line right next to me, he knows him. So what I may tell the brother that I don't know, the person next to me has the ability to tell him, yo, bro, relax, yo, chill out, bro, we good, man, this and third. Nigga, you don't know me, I don't know you. It's equivalent modern day. A nigga dap you up, but subconsciously the nigga you don't know will dap you up too because you with him. Or a nigga will dap you up and not dap up the nigga next to you because he don't know him. Same thing. Conquer one. So let's rise and face the east.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 62. Truly my soul waiteth upon God. From him cometh my salvation. He is my rock and my salvation. He is my defense. I shall not be greatly moved. How long will ye imagine mischief against a man? Ye shall be slain, all of you. As a bowing wall ye shall be, and as a tottering fence. Ye only consult to cast him down from his excellency. The delight in lies. They bless with their mouth, but they curse inwardly. Salah. My soul wait, thou only upon God, for my expectation is from him. He is my rock and my salvation. He is my defense. I shall not be moved. In God is my salvation and my glory. He is the rock of my strength, and my refuge is in God. Trust in him at all times, ye people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. Salah. Surely men of low decree are vanity, and men of high decree are a lie. To be laid in the balance, they are altogether lighter than vanity. Trust not in oppression, and become not vain in robbery. If riches increase, set not your heart upon them. God hath spoken once, twice have I heard this, that power belongeth unto God. Also unto thee, O Lord, belongeth mercy, for thou renderest to every man according to his work. In the name of YHWH, SHAMI, ACHAAD. Aman. Aman you Shabbat. Aman you. Barak. YHWH, SHAMI, ACHAAD.
YHWH, SHAMI, ACHAAD.